Hi guys, and welcome to episode four, technically. And today we're going to cover motivation. I've had a lot of people ask about this topic. You know, how do you stay motivated? How are you motivated all the time? How do you not miss a session? And I want to kind of cover that today and go into a little bit more depth about how we're not always motivated.
Well, I think COVID was the perfect example.
Yes.
Demotivation, hey?
Yeah.
So, look, I think one thing that we kind of need to cover first and foremost is that motivation isn't a thing.
No.
It doesn't get given to you or taken away from you, really.
Yeah.
What it's all about is recreating that motivation.
Yeah.
And the way I always explain it to my clients is it's a product of reason and logic, right? So motivation is created because we have something that we want to achieve, and that's our reason.
Yep.
And then we need a logical way of making that happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And that combination of logic and reason triggers this motivated state, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can achieve it because I have the ability to do A plus B plus C.
Yeah.
And then we get super excited about it. But I don't think anyone has a problem with getting motivated.
No.
Staying motivated.
Yes. Staying motivated. You know, the habits that are involved. You know, setting yourself up for success. You know, if you're time poor and you don't prep meals, is that going to help you or is it going to hinder you?
It's that practical component. So we can sit here and we can reiterate the same things that you'll hear on every motivational little chit chat, which is make sure that what you want, you want enough, and
you're gonna want it. You're gonna want it.
But none of that's really practical. It's not going to help you to push through these things. So we're not by any means saying that you don't need a little bit of get up and go. Because you're going to have days
where you don't want to do it.
You just won't want to do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, sometimes you do have to just suck it up.
Just have to do it.
Get up and get moving. And I think you'll attest. A lot of the time when you start, you're fine. So
it's exciting,
just turning up,
fresh.
You know? Yeah, that's it. Just turning up and getting going.
You're talking to people about it. It's in your head. It's exciting.
That's it. And at the start as well, you're also going to see rapid change. And rapid change is motivating.
Yeah.
You step into the gym for the first time ever, and 3 weeks later, you're lifting 20 kilograms more on a deadlift. Do you know? Like, it's fabulous.
It's amazing.
But how long does it last?
Yeah,
right?
Not long enough.
6 months to a year later, you're getting 2.5 kilos.
You have to work harder.
6 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
So really what it's coming down to is understanding how to stay motivated when all of these little sort of, I guess, positive reinforcements start to fall off.
Yeah.
So talk to me, Dak. What things do you say to your clients when they say they're starting to lose motivation?
I try and break down, well, first of all, what they want out of the goal and then ways to get there. So it's like, you know, it's great to have, you know, okay, I want to lose 10 kilos or I want to put 10 kilos on my squat. And it's like, okay, that's amazing and that's the goal and that's great. But how are we going to get there? So it's like little steps to focus on rather than, you know, the end goal.
Little benchmarks and ways of tracking progress so that you can use the progress to motivate you rather than the end game to motivate you.
Because, like, you know, losing 10 kilos is great, but you're not going to get there tomorrow. You're going to get there in a few months or, you know, 6 months depending on your situation.
And once you get there, your goal's going to change anyway.
100%.
You're going to want something different.
And then what the hell do you do? Yeah.
So it's about the journey far more than it's about that end game.
Yeah. I think people think that you have to be perfect and that you have to be regimented in every single way possible. You know, you have to be perfect in all of these areas, and they put so much pressure on themselves that they almost, you know, they fail before they begin.
It's overpromise, undercommit sort of thing,
100%.
And that's what most people do. So
Which
when
is why
people
they fail.
I don't know about you, but when people sit in my office and they tell me that they want to go from not training at all to 5 days a week and dieting down and I always say, all right, let's just pull it back a second.
Yeah.
How about we get consistent with clean eating and 3 sessions a week?
Yeah, start small.
And then work our way up to it so that it's something that you can start being proud of the fact that you've turned up 3 days a week for 6 weeks rather than feeling disappointed that you missed one session every week for the last 4 weeks.
I find a lot of people want to do 5 sessions or they want to do 6, and it's like, okay, do you actually want to do 6 sessions, or do you think you have to do 6 sessions?
And the other thing is, when you look at the people who are really successful, they're often doing less than you, which is super duper interesting. Like Dak and I have both seen it. You saw it when you went hammer and tong 9 sessions a week.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
And then you learnt very quickly that your body's giving you feedback,
too much,
and it's too much.
Yeah.
I only train 4 days a week at the moment, and I'm completely content with that because it aligns with my goals and allows me to have a work-life balance.
Yeah, it gives you more time for other stuff you want to do.
Exactly right. So you really do have to be aware of what you're committing to so that you can set yourself up for success rather than setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. So I guess, like, what's kind of, what's the one-liner that you would tell people, to how do I stay motivated until I get to my goal?
It's a really good question, and I think from my experience it varies for everyone because everyone's coming from a different place, right? Yeah. So people who have been in competitive sports before, I'm going to give them very different advice to someone who's just come in off the street and is like, I
100%.
just want to get fit.
100%.
So the person who comes off the street and just wants to get fit, we would do exactly what you said before, which is let's set little goals that are really practical and really achievable that you can tick off and you can have a visual representation of.
Yeah.
So I know you love doing progress pics with your clients. I do body fat analysis with my clients. Yeah. We both do measurements with our clients, so on and so forth.
Trackable data.
That's it. These are things that you can see visually that you also can't talk yourself out of.
Yes.
It's not... yeah, exactly right. Like, it's not subjective. It's data.
Yeah.
It's data. You can see it. What's happening is what's happening.
Yeah.
So it helps you to stay motivated because when you're having those days where you wake up and you look in the mirror, you're feeling bloated
or
and
you jump on the scales and you're bloated, but you're disappointed at the weight doesn't go down.
Exactly right. And you're sort of saying to yourself, all right, I'm not getting where I need to go. When you go back to the data and you actually look at it and analyze it, you can kind of say to yourself, okay, no. I've been losing 0.5% body fat every week over the last 8 weeks. That's great progress, and I need to keep with that. If you are an elite athlete or something along those lines, obviously the motivation is going to be really different. So we've got all sorts of different things that will then play into it, depending on whether you're trying to hit a weight class, whether or not your only goal is to be the strongest person out there, whether your goal is to be the fittest person out there,
It's dependent,
then we'll definitely change what we're tracking, what metrics matter. It's going to look very, very different. But in the end, the end result is the same. We're giving you something that you can look at and stay motivated by because it's constantly tracking your progress. And it's always showing you that you're moving in the right direction. Or in the wrong direction, which can be a motivation in itself. If you understand that you're going in the wrong direction, but you're doing that because of A, B, and C, you can then address it. If you are going in the wrong direction and you've not been tracking and you've not been looking at any of this data, how do you address what you've done wrong? How do you then put value on changing it if there's nothing to go by? So I think, for me, forms of tracking are definitely really good ways to motivate and keep accountable. Definitely having a goal that's big enough that you really want to achieve it, and that usually means for both of our clients that it can't just be aesthetics.
So
we're big on pushing the health component of it or the performance component of it, because if it's just aesthetics, well, it's you're probably never going to be happy, right?
No, never fully satisfied. And I think the biggest takeaway from what you just said is, you've got different goals for different people. So if you're just starting out and you've never been into a gym before, or you're just starting to actually take care of your diet, your goals and your regimen and your method and your mental headspace is going to be a lot different to somebody who's been in the game for 5 years.
Absolutely. And it can go both ways, right? Like being in the game for 5 years can make you so good at routine that you no longer have to worry about chasing fat loss, or it can go the other way. It can really start to challenge your motivation.
Yeah.
So let's flip the script for a second and say, okay, you've been training for 10 years. You now are no longer seeing any real progress, right? Because your progress is a teeny tiny strength increase or a
little
teeny
increments.
tiny massive
yeah.
increase or da. Then how do we keep you motivated?
Yeah.
So what would you say to a client who came in and said, look, I've only put on 300 grams of lean mass and lost 1% body fat in the last 6 months?
Yep.
What would you say to that client?
I think you'd want to obviously break down what they've been doing in the past, and obviously what's important to them as well. You know, like do they want to lose more percent?
Yeah.
And also, what percent of body fat are they already at? You know,
Exactly
are they already
right.
16% and they want to lose, and they're disappointed that they're only 1%?
Which is the vast majority of people that have been in the game for a long time, which is something that's very unique, I guess, that we come up against. The longer we work with somebody, the more you start to understand that some of the things that we do to help get to our goals have the opposite effect at the other end, because they make us maybe too motivated.
Or too harsh on ourselves.
And we can't let go of this idea that we've got to keep chasing something. So I can honestly say that for me, it's only been in the last year that I haven't had to have a goal all the time. I haven't needed to chase anything because I'm content. Where my strength is, I'm fairly content. Sure, I'm going to be happy if I lift more.
But still.
But I don't need to be lifting 150 kilo deadlift. I don't need to be doing these things to be content with what I'm achieving. I'm happy with my aesthetics, So now everything I do is, I guess, more balanced, and I don't require that motivation anymore because I'm not constantly chasing something. It can be a blessing and a curse. It means that if I have to switch back into that mode, it's probably it's probably going to be a bit
time to warm
hard.
the engine back up. But I think it's good to know that you can actually be at a point where you're happy.
That's right.
And you are 100% satisfied.
And it's okay to be content as well. You don't actually always have to be chasing that next thing. So we live in a world where social media would have you believe that everything you do is measured against the rest of the world.
You have to keep going.
Right?
You have to keep working towards something. Doesn't matter what it is, but you have to make progress to be happy.
That's
I guess.
right. It's just not the case. And for the vast majority of people, that mentality ends up being really detrimental because, again,
quite a negative.
They're never happy.
No.
You tick this box, you tick this box, you tick this box. And you're always looking for that next
Then you got
thing.
another list of boxes you need to tick.
Exactly. Particularly when we were talking about aesthetics, right? So aesthetics is so... Look, you'll look at yourself 7 days this week, and those 7 days, 3 days you might
There's
love
always
yourself.
something to improve.
Exactly right. It's just going to vary so significantly how you feel about your progress with aesthetics that you need to have other things surrounding.
Yes, and that's why when you make a goal, make sure that it's actually something that you want.
That's right.
Not something that you think you should be doing, not because you're doing a challenge or because you see someone on social media doing it and it looks great and they look like they're loving their life. Make it something that you actually resonate with and that's actually important, because that will obviously help you stick to it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And make it more than a single goal, right? We spoke about before making small goals along the way. Also have more than one end goal, right? Just so that it's not completely, it doesn't all completely come down to this one thing, because if it all comes down to this one thing, that means that we're basically saying, all right, once I reach this, I'm going to be happy.
Everything's happy, my life is done, let's just retire.
And how often does that happen?
No, never. Like, I think people get it in their head that when they reach their goal weight, they're going to be happy, they're going to be stress-free, their life is going to be perfect.
Exactly right. Anxiety will disappear, everything will just go away, and everything's going to be happy. And look, we're telling you from our end, it doesn't happen.
It's only one aspect of your life.
That's right.
One aspect that you only care about.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the world is looking at you very differently to how you're looking at you.
Yeah.
But let's talk about other sort of, I guess, easy ways to make the journey easier for people, which will help to keep them on track. Now, I think this is where the confusion between motivation and design kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
So being driven and being pushing ourselves to do something is not necessarily being motivated, right? It's just getting up and going even though we don't want to.
Yeah.
It's meal prepping when you're tired.
It's not making it an option.
That's right.
Yeah. It's not giving yourself that, you know, prepping your food on a Sunday is maybe if I can be bothered or if the food's there. It's just there.
That's
right. It's like getting up in the morning. You're just going to do it. It's not an option. It's not, will I get out of bed today? It's more so I am.
Yes.
Because I have my life to live.
So scheduling. Scheduling is
100%.
one massive
Calendars,
tool
they're amazing.
that you can use.
Love a calendar.
And put everything in there. Don't think that you have to sort of...
like mine.
Yeah, but don't think that you can only use it for work or you can only use it for this.
Yeah.
Put everything in there because then what's planned is more likely to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like we booked the lovely Sam over there for today and made him come in and
made it happen. Made it happen all through a calendar. And like, you know, for example, it sounds really silly, but I put my lunch breaks in my calendar because, you know, on the days that I don't do that, you know, work builds up and I don't eat.
Don't prioritise.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
exactly right. But if it's in there,
it's a priority.
Visual reminder.
Yeah,
it sets
100%.
Sets the scene for the day. So there's one really practical thing. Second, all right, find what you don't do well and find a better way of doing it. So meal prep is a really good example, and I'm going to drop a name here. So
I wonder what that one will be.
A lot of the time, people are not great at meal prep. So I just sell the beautiful explosive custom macros, and I say send Rob your plan. He will make it to your macros for you.
There's an easier way to do things.
Always an easier way to do things. So you can either make the excuses or you can make the changes. Yeah. Really, it is almost that simple a lot of the time. Yeah. So yes, this is the situation that you're currently in and that you've become comfortable with and that you might find a little difficult to change. Yeah. This is the situation that allows you to still maintain your social life. Still do all of these other things whilst hitting your goals. Yes. Just think a bit more laterally. Think outside of the box and give yourself other options.
One of the things I find is that if you don't acknowledge the mistakes that you're making, you don't have to change them. Yeah. So if you don't really, it's a mistake, I'm just not going to even think about it. I'm not going to bring myself to it. I don't have to change it. Because if you acknowledge it, then you have to change it. And if you don't change it, you choose it. Like, and I feel like with the meal plan stuff, like it's, you know, it's food. Yeah. Like you need it. If you don't eat it, you feel like shit. So like, why don't you just make it a little bit easier for yourself? Get someone to prepare it for you, or, you know, spend the hour. Hour. It's just an hour.
Keep it simple. So sometimes it can be as simple as cooking a kilo of chicken and separating it into containers and then 100%. Doing the same with a bunch of green beans.
And if you find that boring, you'll make the extra time to make more creative meals.
It motivates you 100%. To make a bigger
100%.
effort.
Yeah.
Huge things. So let's then talk exercise. So we've kind of covered a few of the sort of planning sides of things. Yep. Exercise. For people, this is more your realm than mine, gorgeous one. So I used to be a personal trainer. I ran away from that.
I don't know
we'll leave that to Dad. But what it comes down to for a lot of people is making the time for exercise. So talk to me about ways that we can sort of give people their time back. In terms of exercise.
Well, you know, I'm very lucky that for me training isn't really a choice. I just kind of do it. You know, I don't even think about it anymore. But one of the things that can kind of help motivate you and actually make you more accountable is having a coach. Yep. So obviously if you've got a coach, somebody to communicate with and help educate you and keep you accountable, you're going to have those sessions straight up. You're going to do them. If you don't do them, someone's going to know. Yeah. You know,
accountability.
Accountability right there. Unfortunately, having a gym membership isn't enough. You know, people do it all the time. They sign up to a gym, they go for a week, and then they stop off. And
they
it's
pay
like,
off the gym, but
it's fine. I paid a year. It's cheap. Forget about it. The money's already gone. But another way is, you know, like we said about making habits easier. So building habits. So, you know, if you want to train at 6 a.m. in the morning, you will put your gym clothes right next to your bed.
Or in the case of one of my clients,
or you wear them to bed. Or you wear them to bed. Obviously making that a lot easier for you. But also I'm on the end of, you know, when I first started CrossFit, I wanted to wake up at 6 a.m. because I felt like it would make my day easier. I'd get it done. I'd enjoy it. At the end of the day, I didn't fucking enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, why am I making myself do this if I don't enjoy it?
That's it.
So then I made it fit into my schedule later in the day, and I enjoyed it, and I got it done.
So
it's who you are as a person and what you enjoy. If you like training in the morning, set your alarm. Set 5 alarms. Don't even make it an option. Wear your gym clothes to bed.
That's right.
You know, if you work, 9 to 5, you don't want to wake up in the morning, but you want to go straight to the gym.
Yeah.
Have your gym clothes
That's
in the car. Like, have it in your bag.
Don't go home first.
Yes. Don't go home first. Yeah, 100%.
Straight to the
you
gym.
sit down.
Yeah.
You're done.
You'll
not going
start
back to the
coming
gym.
up with excuses
Yes.
immediately.
Yeah. So it's all about kind of catching yourself before you put yourself in a position to make it a choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what it all comes down to. These are all choices. Even
100%.
motivation is a form of choice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So having that logic and reason is wonderful, but you still then have to make the choice at the end.
Yes. Yes.
And the choice can still be the right one or the wrong one.
Yeah. 100%.
Always. There's always going to be two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gone through motivation in terms of planning. We've gone through motivation with nutrition, things like getting someone else to prep your food if that's your big issue, making sure your food's enjoyable if that's your issue, so on and so forth.
Finding the issue.
Isolate the issue and then address it, basically.
Yeah.
In terms of when progress is really slowing down, how can we start looking at things differently to keep ourselves sort of working towards something?
Yeah. I think it's good to realize and try and find why it slowed down. So whether it's, if it's nutrition and you've relaxed a little bit on the weekends and your progress has slowed down, you need to, speaking from experience, you have to figure out why.
Yes.
And then you can kind of fix it with, training, figure out why, whether it's you need to, train a little bit more, maybe you need more recovery.
More you need a deload week or, know, there's so many different tools available to us.
Yeah, 100%.
We can also look at external factors like, are you sleeping?
Are you stressed?
Because if these things are factoring in and you're not actually addressing them, you can do all the exercise you like, you can eat all the right food you
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Because
stress is going to come along and just throw everything out the window. Yeah.
And we want to believe that it can't affect us, or we want to believe that we're can't
invincible.
Do anything about it.
Yep.
But the reality is there are
out of control.
So many things we can do about.
There's always time. There's always time. Whether if you work 60 hours a week, there's still time to sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've just got to prioritize it,
100%.
and that's what it comes down to for most things.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say to my clients. If they have a bad week or they, don't drink enough water, they don't sleep enough, they don't train, they don't stick to the diet. It's like, okay, it's okay. Accept it and accept that it just wasn't a priority.
That's right.
All it is.
Don't make excuses for it. Just acknowledge.
Excuses mean nothing. Just acknowledge it and just own that you just didn't place enough effort behind it. That's
right.
It.
My clients hear me say it all the time. Acknowledge, accept, move on.
100%.
Acknowledge that you made that choice.
Yeah.
Accept that there's no need to do anything about it. It happened, right?
100%.
And then just move on.
Yeah.
Get straight back on plan. Yeah. Go to your next session. Do whatever you need to do to continue to move
just
forward.
Jump back on. The amount of times I've had a client say, I overate yesterday, should I undereat today? It's like, no. Just eat normal.
Straight back on plan.
Yeah, straight back on plan. Like, undereating is going to be like, oh, it's okay if I overeat if I undereat the next day.
That's right.
It's like, it's not okay. Like,
creates bad patterns 100%. And it doesn't compensate for anything, right? So it'll compensate calorically, but then it'll create all these other issues. So it's just not worth it.
No.
Oh,
but
God.
Yes.
All right, well, we went off on like 20 different tangents there, so I reckon we've covered motivation for today. What do you reckon, Zach?
Yeah, I think that's about enough. But just own your shit. Reach
out for help if you need it.
100%.
There are hundreds of coaches out there.
So many.
Find one that resonates with you and work with them, whether it's a nutrition coach, an overall coach, or a strength coach. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Find who works for you and who you get the best accountability out of and utilize that, right?
And don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
And build skills. You know, nothing comes naturally. When you first start any journey, it's always going to be confusing and difficult and hard. Don't give up. Just keep pushing through. Build better habits, and then eventually you'll get to a point where it does become fairly natural. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for listening to us, guys. This has been On the DL with Dak and Lan. And we're here to teach you the practical approach.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.